This is Wade, and you are in Wade World. And today we are going to do a book review about Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. So, fire! Dun, 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 dun. If you know that song, props to you. Give me stoop, stoop, wenn ik starte, hinterlassen kratten. All right. Anyway, so Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. As if you've gone through the earlier books, as Harry Potter and the friends grow older, the books become more serious and there are more serious themes. Now, in the last book, there was a funny character called Dobby the house elf, and Wade didn't really give you all parts of the story so you can actually read the book. These things are meant to encourage you to read the books. So Dobby gets freed in the last book from his master, who it turns out is Lucius Malfoy. How he's freed, you can read it. And now Dobby's working at Hogwarts. So when the book starts, Harry has reached a better understanding with his uncle, aunt, and cousin, who still dislike him, but they don't can't really bully him that much. So he's invited to the wizard version of a World Cup. Now, if you're in Britain or Europe, that would be the Football World Cup. If you're in the States, that would be the World Series, or pick any, basketball, baseball, whatever. But really like world. So people from different countries are coming to play, not just the Red Sox and the Giants. Right? So anyway, Harry goes to Ron's house to go with their family to attend the Quidditch World Cup, which is basically their version of football with five huge hoops, wizards flying on brooms, trying to knock each other out, trying to put the ball in the hoop, trying to find catch a golden ball, which ends the match and gives you 150 extra points. And the book starts off very cheerfully. Ginny's grown up. She's always had a crush on Harry, and now Harry notices her, like, oh, she's looking kind of pretty. And we're introduced to the concept of a portkey. So Harry, Ron, Hermione, and Ron's entire family, which is quite big and happy, they all have to go to the World Cup, but they're not going to fly there, and they're not going to transport there through the flu network. So what they are going to do is they're going to meet other visit at a specific place where there is an object, in this case an old boot, and at the appointed time, so it's like a train leaves, so this boot will leave. The boot starts glowing. Everybody grabs hold of the boot and they're teleported to the Quidditch World Cup. This is called a port key. So if you touch it at the right time, it will take you somewhere else. And then at the time of return, if you touch it again, it'll take you back to where you came from. This is an important concept. Remember it. So anyway, they go to the Quidditch World Cup. It's a lot of fun, a lot of people. Harry is introduced to a lot more of the visiting world, how visiting people live. It's pretty much family and normal social interaction with magic thrown on top. And then there are teams. One of the famous players is Victor Crumb. He's a young guy who's one of the world famous players of Quidditch, and his team wins. And so Victor Crumb is generally ascribed to be of Eastern European, we can say Russian or Slavic origin. This is also going to be important later on. So anyway, everything goes fine. They've gotten good seats. They meet the usual suspects. They have some kind of disturbances with Lucius Malfoy because Ron's father works in the ministry, but he's a pretty straightforward, simple guy. But he manages to get really good tickets, and Lucius Malfoy makes fun of them, like, "How are you poor people up here?" So anyway, as this whole experience progresses, we're introduced to various fun themes, such as the tents of wizards, just like Doctor Who's TARDIS, are bigger on the inside than they're on the outside. There can be an entire apartment or a house inside a tent that just looks like a tent. So while all the Match is finished and they're having fun. They hear a lot of shrieking and shouting, and they get outside and they see a bunch of hooded, masked, skull wearing wizards marching and pointing their wands upwards. And there's a giant skull in the sky with a serpent coming out of its mouth, a snake coming out of its mouth. Now, Harry doesn't know what this is, but it creates immediate and tremendous panic. And later on, he gets to know that these people were the followers of Voldemort, the bad guy. They're called Death Eaters, and that is Voldemort's mark. A huge giant skull with a serpent coming out of its mouth. And whenever you see that over some place, people are going to die. That place is in grave danger, or someone has been killed. So anyway, everybody, starts panicking. The ministry is panicked that they didn't really believe Voldemort or his Death Eaters were active anymore. And Harry gets lost trying to find Hermione and Ron, and he stumbles upon some things in the forest that don't make any sense. Some Death Eaters that try to attack him, and then the ministry stumbles upon him, and they're very suspicious. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing here? This is the spot where the this huge skull, with the serpent coming out of its mouth, this mark came out. So Harry's like, yeah, I just happened to be here. I was looking for somebody else, and the Minister of Magic is also summoned. His name is Barty Crouch, which is important. So the Minister of Magic's name is Barty Crouch. So anyway, people go back home. The ministry is somewhat flustered. They're also annoyed at Harry for being in a suspicious place. And people are more subdued because this means that there are signs that Voldemort is going to come back. And throughout the stories, throughout the books, there have been hints that there is a shadow in the wizards of Romania, so again, Eastern Europe. Basically, Eastern Europeans are more masculine right now than Western Europeans on average. This is a fact. So everything bad is, masculine. But anyway, so everybody gets back to Ron's house to start preparing for the school. And you can see this undercurrent of Ginny's always had a crush on Harry. He didn't really pay much attention to her. Now she's grown into a cute redhead, and he's like, oh, she's actually kind of cute and sort of sweet and cute, but she's dating someone else. Again, unhealthy themes. But so everybody makes their way to the school through the Express, the Hogwarts Express, as standard. But there are some surprises, and it's hinted. Now, here's something interesting. In all of the books, the students are transported to the school through different ways. Sometimes they're transported through boat, sometimes they're transported through horseless carriages. And this is something that is going to be important to remember because Wade may touch upon it in the next book. If Wade doesn't, then this is something interesting. So anyway, this time the kids are transported by horseless carriages to the school. And as they entered the grand hall, they realized that all of the teachers are dressed quite well. And they are surprised. So as they settle down, Dumbledore announces, like, we are going to be welcoming two other schools this year because we are hosting the Triwizard Tournament. So this is a tournament that happens once every 50 years, or it happened 50 years ago last time. And this, of course, it's Triwizard, so it's three schools competing for the trophy. And the trophy is a goblet of trophy of the Triwizard trophy is different from the Goblet of Fire. Oh, it is the Goblet of Fire. Anyway, so we're introduced to the first school, which arrives in some time, and this is a huge carriage on being driven by flying horses. These are the Beaubatons. They represent the French, obviously. The headmistress is half giant like Hagrid, but denies it. She just says, I have very big bones, but she's like 8 feet tall. And the other school is Durmstrang. So Durmstrang, and again, because Anglo-Saxons are so confused about history and they've been lied to. So they're not really sure what Durmstrang is because the name sounds German, who were allegedly the bad guys in World War II, but all the characters are basically Russian, who were also the bad guys in World War II, but the British fought with them, right? Anyway, we're going to stay to the magical part of the story. So anyway, Durmstrang comes and they basically are representing Eastern European strong masculine guys, and the headmaster of Durmstrang is Igor Karkaroff. He was an ex-follower of Voldemort, and he was a Death Eater, but he gave evidence against Voldemort, so he was let go, and he was pardoned in exchange for, getting other people who were much more dangerous caught. And Victor Crumb is one of the students of Durmstrang. So people are surprised that they forgot that, yes, he is a world famous Quidditch player, but he is also quite young and he's still in school, maybe 17 or 18. So anyway, these people make their entrance, students make their entrance. So it's three schools competing in the Triwizards tournament. Triwizards, that will be Hogwarts, Durmstrang, and Beauxbaton. So from Beauxbaton and Durmstrang and Hogwarts, we pretty much have a good idea of who's going to win because there are obviously top contenders. Victor Crumb, he's world famous athlete. Then Fleur Delacour, she's very beautiful, part magical Vila girl. So Vilas are basically 100% Velas are basically magical creatures who are very beautiful and entrap men with their beauty and then torture them. But this is like half Vela. She's got half the half the qualities. In the movie, it's not played by someone especially beautiful, honestly. Like it was a disappointment. And then from Hogwarts, there are a few contenders, but Cedric Diggory is introduced. This guy is from Hufflepuff, or is he Hufflepuff, maybe? And Hufflepuff or Ravenclaw. You'll have to check it out. So he's a good all-rounder, top student. And the rules are that nobody under the age of 17 or 18 can enter. So it's only limited to like the students in the final year. Dumbledore explains the situation that this is the Goblet of Fire. It's an old goblet, magical, very powerful. It has a blue flame coming out of it. There will be a circle, an age circle, enchanted by Dumbledore and other professors, very powerful. So nobody below the age of 17 can actually put their name in the Goblet of Fire. And it's all good. So people try to trick it. Fred and George try to trick it. And they grow massively long beards and their hair grows white. So it's like a way to mark people who try to fool the Goblet of Fire. And anyway, all the names are finally submitted, and the day the ceremony comes on the day that the names are going to be pulled out of the Goblet of Fire. So for Durmstrang, obviously Victor Crumb's name gets pulled out. The Goblet of Fire chooses the best person, right? From Beauxbaton, Fleur Delacour's name comes out. The Goblet of Fire again has some sort of magical ability to choose who it deems the most suitable candidate, the most worthy opponents, right? And for Hogwarts, Cedric Diggory's name comes out. So everybody's happy. It's like, yeah, this is what we expected. It's all good. And they're all 17, 18. Now, surprisingly, as everybody's thinking it's finished, three schools, three champions, the Goblet of Fire sparks again, and another name comes out. And that's Harry Potter. And that is quite surprising because Harry Potter is not 17. So now, Harry is shocked, Dumbledore is shocked, and everybody else is shocked, and the other schools are angry because now Hogwarts gets two participants where their schools only got one. So obviously, just by simple mathematics, Hogwarts has a massive advantage because it has two participants and more chances of winning the cup. So Harry's called back and he's interrogated. Did you put your name? Did you get somebody else to put your name? He's like, no, I didn't put my name. I don't know who put it. And I don't want to participate. And Dumbledore's like, no, it's a magical, binding magical contract. Once the Goblet of Fire spits out your name, you have to participate. There's fatal consequences for breaking the contract. So Harry gets selected along with these other three, and we are introduced to Rita Skeeter. So Rita Skeeter is an excellent example of what the legacy media is. She is a liar, someone who will do anything to get clicks or reading on her articles, and she makes stuff up, right? She exaggerates stuff. So she is super sneaky, and she's super stoked that Harry Potter got selected because he's already mega famous. He's way more famous than any of these other three. So she interviews him, and he's a simple guy. He's answering her question simply. He's confused, he's shocked, and she makes stuff up like tears welled up in his eyes as he's remembering his parents. And this is a boy who lives for glory. What better way to go for glory than to go for the goblets of fire and win the tournament and all that stuff? And he's like, "What are you doing? What are you writing? That's not what I said." But anyway, she's a shock reporter, a liar. So Harry returns to his friends, and Ron is immediately pissed because he's like, "You lied to me. You put your name in there." And Harry's like, "What the hell is wrong with you? Why would I put my name into a tournament that they obviously told us is only for 17 years and older students, requires advanced magic, and can get you killed? There have been students killed in this tournament. This is not a joke." Ron doesn't believe him, so they have a fight. And everybody's somewhat suspicious of Harry Potter because during the Quidditch World Cup with the death mark on the sky, the newspapers were like, Harry Potter was found at the scene. So people are already getting suspicious. And then Rita Skeeter's article comes out and paints Harry as this attention seeking guy who's very selfish and he will do anything for attention, which doesn't make any sense. Again, because he's already famous, right? This is not just some random person who's suddenly seeking attention. This is a world famous, probably the most famous wizard in the last 15 years that wants more attention. So got his name in the cup, broke the rules, and is rewarded for it. So people around Harry are starting to look at him like, yo, this guy, there's something fishy with him. They discount the fact that he's defeated Voldemort multiple times, and his house wins the yearly House Cup multiple times due to his actions and of Ron and Hermione and others. So anyway, the story progresses, and the first test is that of none of the contestants are told what the first test is. So we're going to know what the first test is, but a side note before that is, as a theme, the defense against the dark arts teacher are replaced every year at Hogwarts due to something or the other. They say the job's cursed. So the last defense against the dark arts teacher was a very, very competent and able teacher who knew Harry's father, but he turned out he was a werewolf. It got leaked to the parents, and he got fired. So this time, they say Alistair Moody, a former member of the Order of the Phoenix, somebody who fought the Death Eaters, is going to be defense against the dark arts teacher. This is a very rugged old man. He's lost a leg, he's lost an eye, he's very gruff, and he's very competent. Scary looking, scary guy, but very competent, like a strict, scary teacher. So, in one of his first classes, he displays the three unforgivable curses: the curses for controlling someone's mind, the curses for torturing someone, which really upsets Neville Longbottom because his parents were tortured into madness by the Death Eaters because they wouldn't give up their information. And then he also displays the killing curse on a spider, which really disturbs the students, but it is what it is. So he's established as a very strong masculine figure who's very ruthless and experienced. And he also, Neville Longbottom becomes super upset because of the curse being displayed that tortured his parents, and he takes him. He's like, "Don't worry, I'll take care of you. Come with me, boy." So anyway, while this is going on, Hagrid reaches out to Harry through Ron and Hermione. Ron's not talking to him, so Hagrid reaches out to Ron. Ron reaches out to Hermione. Hermione reaches out to Harry, and it's like, "Yo, come at this time to my hut. Don't tell anybody, and bring your invisibility cloak." So Harry's like, "Fine." So Harry's invisibility cloak, it's always been good, rock solid. Nobody's been able to detect him, and it's very old, and it hasn't lost its power, which is very rare for an invisibility cloak. Going to be important later on. Not in this story, but later on. So Harry goes to visit Hagrid. Hagrid takes him and shows him what the first challenge is, which is dragons. So there are four dragons, and the most dangerous dragon could be the Hungarian wormtail, and everybody is going to have to pick the dragon. So Harry's like, "All right, this, this is the first challenge," and Hagrid tells him like, "Yo, you are like 14, man. You shouldn't. I don't believe you put your name in there, and you need this advantage because you have not been taught the kind of magic required to actually fight dragons." And he's like, "All right." But being a man of honor, he goes and tells Cedric because Cedric has also been like, "Yo, this little shit, he put his name in there, stealing my glory. I was supposed to be the only champion of Hogwarts." So he's like, "All right." He goes to Cedric and he's like, "Hey, the first challenge is dragons." Cedric is like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, it's dragons." The day arrives, the first challenge arrives. Everybody's in a massive amphitheater around a pit. It's dragons, obviously. All four of the champions, they go in, they select small model dragons from a bag, and Harry obviously gets the most dangerous one. One by one, the champions go out, either win or lose, but so far they all win. And Harry is somewhat panicking because he doesn't know any way to fight a dragon. He hasn't been taught, he's been helped by Hermione. Ron's not helping him. And he has just no idea what to do to the build-up of this. And while this build-up is happening, he also talks to Moody, among other professors, and Moody asks him, "What are you good at?" And he's like, "I'm really good at flying Quidditch. I'm a really good seeker." He's like, "All right, keep that in mind." So then Harry comes up with a plan. He's the last to go against the most dangerous dragon, and he goes out, and you're allowed to perform any magic spell, but you're not allowed to bring any magical objects with you. So he goes out and he summons his very, very fast sport broom. It's like a sport car, but a sports broom. And he dodges, 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 gets the golden egg from the dragon. He wins. So everybody's super stoked. Two of Hogwarts champions won, and one of each of the other ones won. But Hogwarts is both the champions go to the next round. After this, Ron also calms down and apologizes to Harry because he's like, "I thought you really wanted glory because I was reading Rita Skeeter's article." And Rita Skeeter is also in the tent with him, and she sees him with Hermione now. She thinks Hermione and him are together. She writes another salacious article about it. So Ron is like, "I didn't think that this was such a big deal until I saw the dragon, and then I realized you would have to be insane to put your own name in there. So now I believe you. Forgive me. We need to find out who put your name in there because this is really dangerous. This is dangerous stuff. You could have died out there." So now the three friends, three amigos, three musketeers are back together. The school year progresses. There are whispers of more Death Eater acts. There are whispers of Voldemort returning. There are whispers of people coming out from Azkaban, like a mass breakout from Azkaban. So things are getting more disturbing. But we'll go on to the next challenge. So in the next challenge, nobody's told what the next challenge is. The students don't know what the next challenge is. And Harry is quite concerned because not only does he have classes, he's got these news of Voldemort and all his followers getting more powerful. He has a crush on a girl called Cho Chang. She's quite pretty to him. And she seems to be dating Cedric Diggory, by the way. But we get to that. So they don't know what the next challenge is until one day Cedric comes to him and he's like, "What have you done with the egg that you won?" And he's like, "What? I haven't done anything with it. It's just in my room." He's like, "Why don't you go take a bath in the prefect's bathroom with the egg?" And he leaves. So this is Cedric's way of repaying the debt he owed Harry for telling him about dragons so he could prepare. So Harry's like, "What kind of stupid tip is that? Take a bath in the bathroom, the prefect's bathroom, what?" But anyway, he goes there and he takes a bath. Apparently, it's this amazingly fancy bathroom, and it's got multiple magical taps with multiple soaps and other magical potions that come into the bath. And then he's visited by the ghost of Moaning Myrtle, the girl who died and helped solve the mystery of the Chamber of Secrets in the last book. And he opens the egg and it just shrieks in a high pitched sound, ear piercing, ear splitting sound, like it's been doing since he won it. And he's like, "This is stupid. I'm taking a bath in a bathroom with an egg and nothing's different." And then she tells him, like, "You know what? The other boy, he put it in the water. Why don't you put it in the water?" And Harry's like, "Okay, all right." So Harry puts the egg in the water, goes himself underwater and opens the egg. And now he hears a song from the Mer people. So that's a song that says that we'll take something that you treasure and you'll have to rescue it. And if you can't, you'll die, they'll die, whatever. So he's like, all right. So the next challenge is more people in the Great Lake that is in the Hogwarts grounds. Cool. So everybody's preparing their own version of how to deal with more people, how to breathe underwater for an extended period of time, and Harry has no idea. And he really has no idea until the last minute on how to breathe underwater because he just can't get the spells right or he can't find the solution until Dobby gives him some jillyweed, which you can eat, and it gives you gills that allow you to breathe underwater for an hour or so. Now, how Dobby gets it to him is another question. But the competition starts, and all of the competitors they jump in. So Victor Crumb turns his head into a shark so he can breathe underwater. Fleur Delacour, not really sure what she does. Cedric Diggory brings up some kind of air bubble, underwater breathing apparatus. And then Harry, of course, has gillyweed, so he has the most elegant solution. And as he goes underwater, he sees that the mer people are not really the mermaids you see in the movies, but they're more like they really look like fish, like scaly fish, humanoid fish. And they've tied Fleur Delacour's little sister, Ginny Weasley for Harry, Hermione for Ron, because Ron, again, in this book, we see that he likes Hermione. Incidentally, Victor Crumb also likes Hermione. And Hermione's like, oh, he's just a stupid player. But we know how this goes, right? And then Victor Crumb, Hermione, Harry, probably Ginny, Fleur Delacour's little sister, and Cedric, of course, Cho Chang. So while all of the others are rescuing their competitors, Harry takes a long time just to get to the place where the people are tied and asleep by the mer people. And he sees that Cedric has rescued his person and Victor has rescued his party, but he sees that, all right, I got to rescue, I think it was Ron, not Ginny. I got to rescue Ron. Yeah, so it's Ron probably. And while he's rescuing Ron, he sees that, Fleur Delacour is nowhere to be seen. And that girl is obviously her sister because she has that same Vila type face and hair and body, I'm guessing, complexion. And he's like, he rescues Ron, he's waiting, and the more people are like, all right, you got him, go. And he's like, no, I don't want to go. Like, where's this girl? Like, where is her sister? And they're like, it's not your business, leave. And they get aggressive. And he's like, I'm not going to leave. And he makes a split second decision and he tries to rescue her and they attack him. So then he fights his way out that nobody else had to do against the more people and rescues both Ron and Fleur Delacour's sister. And for this, he is awarded extra points for bravery. So now Hogwarts is in an even better place because the top two champions are from Hogwarts and the other guys are in Beauxbaton and Durmstrang. So Fleur Delacour is obviously very thankful. Her solution backfired, so she completely failed. And Harry's like, "Oh, they could have killed her," and the teacher's like, "They wouldn't have killed her. It's just to give you guys some more motivation." But they were all safe. No one was going to be killed. But again, he seems to think he's foolish. He feels foolish, but he gets awarded for bravery. Like you didn't have to help her, but you did. So it shows good character. So before the final challenge. There is a ball being organized, and this is somewhere we all been. There's a dance party, prom, ball, whatever being organized, and you have to ask some girls out either before or during. So Harry obviously is interested in Cho Chang, and he waits a lot, and she's giving him hints like, "Hey, ask me. I could go with you." And he waits a long time, and then finally gets the nerve to ask her, and she's like, "Oh, you know what? Cedric Diggory already asked me to go with him." So he's like, "Ah, that's all right." His hopes are crushed, and Ron is also having a hard time finding a girl because he just doesn't care. So anyway, at the end, they're discussing who to ask, and Harry says, "All right, Cho's gone. Why don't I ask Ginny?" And Ginny's like, "What, you thought I was available? No, I already have a partner for the dance." Harry's like, "Oh, damn, dude! Like these are like my two major people that I could have counted on." And then there are a lot of girls who would love to go with Harry, but he's just oblivious to them, as you know, as all men are. We don't really care about girls at that age, or when we're younger, and we are not really good at picking up the cues unless you're a natural or you're taught. So finally, they're discussing this with Hermione, and Ron is like, "Hey, wait a second, you're a girl. Why don't you come with me?" And Hermione's like offended. She's like, "What? Thanks for noticing. I've already been asked." And he's like, "Asked out by who?" She's like, "I'm going with Victor Crumb." And Ron is like so angry. He's like, because he actually likes her genuinely. And now this other dude is moving on in on his girl, right? So now Harry and Ron are, it's like a cute little side spot. Now they're despondent, and they basically go with whoever is available at the last moment. The entire dance, Hermione looks, it's like a glow up. She looks very pretty. Ron is floored. Harry is somewhat morose because Ginny is like, "You know what? I really like Ginny. I didn't know I liked her." And she's dancing with some other dude. And then Ron lashes out at Hermione because, again, that's, he's a kid. And Hermione doesn't understand, so she is hurt, and a lot of hurt feelings and stuff. So anyway, the dance ends, and one important thing in this dance is Hagrid asks out the headmistress of Beauxbaton, the headmistress. And he has said, like, "When did you know you were half a giant?" And she gets super offended, like, "I'm not half a giant, I'm just big boned." And she marches off, like, "I am not half a giant, I have big bones." Marches off. Well, while all this is going on, we also see Igor Karkaroff really panicked, and he goes to Snape and he says, "Hey, the mark is glowing and I'm terrified." So it turns out Professor Snape was also a Death Eater. And Snape was like, "You need to calm down." But Igor Karkaroff is really panicked because he genuinely betrayed Voldemort. So if Voldemort comes back, he's going to crush him like a cockroach or a bug. So anyway, the dance ends. Now they hurt feelings. Now Harry's cool with both of them, whereas Ron and Hermione are fighting. Earlier, Hermione was cool with both Harry and Ron when they were fighting. So anyway, the final challenge approaches. Everybody's excited, and it seems that the final challenge is a maze. Now it's a magical maze, and at the end of the maze is the Goblet of Fire. If the Triwizard Cup, it's the Triwizard Cup, and if you get the Triwizard Cup, you touch it, you win. So they don't know what to prepare. They just know it's a maze. All four champions go in. The maze is very tricky. There's lots of pretty threatening, dangerous, and life-threatening dangers in there, like magical mist that'll kill you, plants that'll rip you apart. And during the maze part of the story, Harry also sees Victor Crumb trying to enact a killing curse. It seems that he is imperious. Somebody has put a unforgivable. Remember the three unforgivable curses: Imperio, Crucio, and Avada Kedavra. So he's been imperious. So anyway, they stumble through. Victor is trying to attack him, then he's trying to attack Cedric, then Cedric helps him, he helps Cedric, and Fleur Delacour obviously loses her way and freaks out pretty early on. And at the end, he and Cedric are left, and they're in a strange place because he helped Cedric, and then Cedric helped him. So Cedric is like, "All right, you know what? Go ahead, you take it. You deserve it. You helped me way more than I helped you." And Harry's like, "You know what? Let's both take it for Hogwarts. We're both from Hogwarts. Let's both take it." And they're like, "Sweet." So they both go to the Triwizard Cup. They grab the handle. It's like Crystal Cup, and At this point, the maze should have basically fallen apart or disappeared, and they would have been like, "Here you go, we're the champions." Boom. But they get teleported to a graveyard, and that's when Harry and Cedric realizes that, whoa, this is a port key. Nobody told us. Like they don't know what's going on, right? They're like, did anyone tell you that the cup is going to be a port key and we're going to be taken somewhere else? And they're like, no, nobody told me that. So Harry senses some danger and he's like, Cedric warns out, so they get ready for danger. And Victor and Cedric Diggory is immediately killed. It was going to be spoilers, by the way. And Harry is immediately put into a stunning position, a stunned position, and his legs and arms are wrapped around. And Peter Pettigrew, the guy who was Ron's rat Scabbers from the last book and escaped, he comes out with a really small bundle in his arm. Now, at the beginning of the book, a muggle is also killed. Hearing Peter Pettigrew talk to somebody in a chair, by the way. This is how the book starts with a muggle, with a man who is killed because he hears some noises in a house of which he is the groundskeeper and nobody lives in the house. So, anyway, Peter Pettigrew comes with this little bundle in his arm, and it turns out to be a really baby-sized, ugly, wrinkled Voldemort, like very weak. It's like he can, it's like, "Put me out there," barely speak, right? But he can do magic. And as Harry sees, a lot of Death Eaters appear, and Lucius Malfoy and other people. He knows these people. He can see them. He can also guess at them. So Peter Pettigrew puts Voldemort's little shriveled body into a huge pot, and he takes blood from Harry, puts him in a huge pot. Then he takes the bones from a grave that Harry read as Marvolo Riddle, which Tom Marvolo Riddle is Voldemort's original name. So he says it might be related to this Voldemort guy. And he puts them in the pot, and some abracadabra, some magic, and then Voldemort appears fully formed. Like he's back, not just in a little shriveled body, but he's back in full form. And he climbs out, and Harry's like, oh, damn. So he's back. And this dude's back, counts all the loyal Death Eaters, and everybody's terrified of him. You can see like how terrifying he is. He's basically got no nose. He's deathly pale. His eyes are like red slits. He's bald. He's pretty much mutated himself into something not normal and not good. So now he's back. He counts the missing Death Eaters, Igor Karkaroff among them, Snape also among them. And he's like, all right, I know who's loyal to me and who's not now. And then he turns to Harry and he's like, ah, it's you. So you thought you could destroy me, but look, I'm back here and your parents are gone. And you thought I couldn't touch you, but I can. So he touches Harry. And then he tells him, the reason I can touch you, and there's a whole spell there, is because I have blood from you and your mother and your father and mother now in my veins. So I can touch you. You can't destroy me. So he's like, all right, let's finish this and I can continue with my plan. And he challenges Harry to a duel. And obviously, he tries to kill Harry again with the Avada Kedavra, and Harry just trying to take his wand away. So he's like Expelliarmus or something. And instead of immediately getting killed, Voldemort is shocked that their wands and their spells connect at the center. And this connection generates a huge ring that grows in size so that only Voldemort and Harry and Voldemort are inside. And Voldemort is shocked. You can see, like, he's trying his hardest. Like, why won't this kid die? And Harry's shocked, like, what the hell? What just happened? And as the connection grows stronger, the shades of people start coming out of this connection. So the first person to come out is an old man, like a non-magical man. This is the man that was killed at the beginning of this book. Then uh, Harry's parents come out because they were the ones who were also killed, and he has never seen his parents, like properly seen his parents. He's seen pictures, and they're ghosts, they're shades. So they tell him like, "We are here. Don't worry, you're very strong, but we're going to protect you against Voldemort. He can't do anything to you while we are here, but we don't have a lot of time. You have to grab the port key. It'll take you back to Hogwarts and take Cedric's body with you." And he's crying, he's overwhelmed, he's angry at Voldemort, he's seeing his father and his mother for the first time. They're actually talking to him and to tell him, like, you have to go now. So he grabs Cedric's body and then at the right moment breaks the contact, touches the Triwizard Cup, and goes back to Hogwarts. So now, when he goes back to Hogwarts, he, they appear in Hogwarts, and you can't really disapparate or you can't teleport to Hogwarts. It's called disapparation, apparition. But the portkey can go in and out of these places. So everybody's super stoked, like, hey, Harry's here with Cedric, who seems kind of passed out, and they've won. And it takes a few minutes for people to realize that Harry's not happy. He's crying and he won't let Cedric go. And then Dumbledore, like, what's going on? And then Cedric's parents come, Ron's parents come, and they're like, oh, damn, Cedric's dead. And Harry says, like, hey, Voldemort's back. We were teleported to this graveyard. This is a portkey. Voldemort's back. I saw it with my own eyes. And, Peter Pettigrew killed Cedric, or one of the Death Eaters killed Cedric. And the Minister of Magic is also there because this is in the Wizard world a huge deal, the final of the Tribe of the tournament, right? And if your school wins, obviously, it's a huge deal. So the Minister of Magic immediately is like, hey, you stop talking about this nonsense. This is not the time to talk about it because his rule is being challenged by reports that he's unable to contain all the dangerous stuff that is happening. And that's happening because Voldemort and his people are back, including a mass breakout from Azkaban, which they're trying to hide from the people by saying nothing's wrong, and the desertion of the Dementors to Voldemort, because obviously they were guarding Azkaban and they suck souls out of people. So obviously Voldemort gives them a way better deal than the people who tell them to guard a prison. So the book ends tragically. The Minister of Magic is furious and he tells Harry, yo, you shut up and stop talking. Don't tell lies. I've been reading about you. So remember, Rita Skeeter has been telling people like this is an attention seeking guy who lies to get attention. So the minister actually believes that. He's like, you're a liar. You want attention. You want the cup. You want more attention. We don't know who killed Cedric, but you need to stop lying. And Harry's like, I'm not lying. I don't care about the cup. And he's like, whatever. Here is your money. So there's like a huge sack of gold that you win. And Harry's like, I don't want the money. Take it. And he gives the money to Fred and George Weasley, who are pranksters, and they were thinking of opening a joke shop. So now they have startup money. But this is not like a glad scene or a happy scene. This is a tragic scene because the Minister of Magic basically argues with Dumbledore, and Dumbledore is like, I believe Harry. And the Minister of Magic is like, you are contradicting me directly. You are a threat to my power, and you always wanted to be Minister of Magic. Which is funny because Dumbledore was offered the Minister of Magic position multiple times and he refused in the past. So the book ends in that the Ministry of Magic disbelieves Harry, the Minister of Magic, dislikes him and says he's spreading false rumors. Remember what governments that don't really care about their people do? They try to hide the truth from the people. So that's what the Minister of Magic is doing. They're trying to paint in the media that everybody who speaks the truth is evil and wrong. Pretty much, you can see this nowadays, right? And Dumbledore is on the side of Harry. Cedric's parents are devastated. Cho Chang, they became boyfriend and girlfriend for a short time. She's devastated. Harry's friends believe him. Half of the school doesn't believe him. They think he's an attention seeking guy. And then Dumbledore announces that, yes, Voldemort is back. You guys have to be careful. Bad times are here again. So the book ends, and Harry goes back to his aunt and uncle's place. And it's really stressed, like you have to be there. Even if you don't like it, you have to be at their house. So that is Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. As you can see, it's the fourth book. It gets progressively darker, progressively more serious. But again, if you started reading from the age of 11 or 10 or 12, you're already 14, 15. So you're already grown up somewhat. You're able to understand the realities of the world and you're able to gradually take this in like, wow, this is getting tragic and this is getting really serious. So that is Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Now, Wade intentionally leaves out a lot of details in the books so that you can actually enjoy reading the book without feeling like that's all I need to know and I don't need to read the book. There's a lot of very interesting subplots, there's a lot of very interesting subpoints. Interestingly, and this is something that is still a mystery, Dumbledore and Harry Potter, they do solve the mystery of who exactly turned the Triwizard Cup into a portkey, because this is a betrayal, right? And this betrayal was done by one of the teachers who had locked the person he was impersonating in a magical multi level chest. And who this person is, who was pretending to be the teacher, it was a Death Eater. And this Death Eater was the son of the Minister of Magic, Barty Crouch. Remember the guy who doesn't like Harry? He had a son who was a Death Eater and who was put in Azkaban, and he escaped. That's all the information Wade is going to tell you about that, because that is also a very interesting side story. So they do solve how exactly did Harry get transported to that graveyard with Cedric, and who is responsible, like who betrayed the Hogwarts school master. To find out who, read the book. Because until next time, this is Wade, and you keep it cool, keep it smart, and as always in Wade World, enjoy.